In this lesson, we'll learn about Houdini contexts and flags. So I'm starting with this scene here that has a few objects already created. And one thing that I notice is that I still have my construction grid visible. And I'm just going to hide it since we don't really need to see it. And the way that we do that is here on this toolbar on the right. This first icon will allow you to hide the construction grid, turn it on and off. We'll just turn it off. And notice as I select the various objects here in the viewport in the scene view that they're updating which ones are selected in the network view and in the parameter view. So these things are all three tied together. So as I select the torus, you can see here now that it is selected in the network view. And the same works if you select from the network view. As I select in the network view, it also selects the according geometry over here in the scene view. For now, I want to focus in on just the network view and a few of the things about how the network view works. So I'm going to maximize this particular pane so we can take up more of the interface. And again, that's done by using this icon here in the top right-hand corner. Now, what happens automatically is you have this little floating version of the parameter view that's available here. I'm going to go ahead and just hide that for right now. And the way you do that is by using the keyboard shortcut P for parameter view. So if I just tap P on the keyboard, it'll allow me to hide or show this little parameters window. And of course, you can resize it so that it can exist anywhere that you want it to. It is sort of corner pinned to this top right corner of the pane, but you can scoot it out of the way or make it bigger or smaller. For now, I'm just going to hide it again. Again, that keyboard shortcut is P on the keyboard. So let's look and see what we've got here in our network view. We have all of these objects that are represented by these little nodes. Now you can arrange these nodes here in the network view any way that you would like. You just simply click and drag them to any other position. You also have the ability to rename them. So instead of just box object 1, if you wanted to call this just box, all you have to do is click on the name. That'll activate the renaming abilities. And you can just rename it anything that you want to. Okay, you also have the ability to sort of automatically arrange these things. There's a few things that'll help you arrange these things. These icons here across the top right of this toolbar allow you to do some things like grid snapping. We can turn on this grid, and with the grid visible, your nodes will automatically pop to these little grid crosshairs. Okay? If you can turn those back off, and you can align all of them. There's the align tools right here. You can align them horizontally or vertically, depending upon how you want to do it. And any of these changes that you make, if you want to get the layout you had back, all you need to do is Control Z, and that'll undo that last layout that you had. So yeah, I can arrange them vertically, or I can do it horizontally. However works, better for you, so you can see what's going on. You can also distribute them evenly if you've got them sort of in random spots and you want to make sure that they're all distributed across the network view evenly. If you select them all, these two icons here, this will distribute them horizontally so that they're all spaced out evenly from the first one to the last one. And again, you can do the same thing vertically and make sure that they're all spaced evenly from the bottom to the top. So those are just some ways of making sure that you can keep your network view organized, which is going to become very important as we get deeper into some of these networks and start having lots of nodes inside of our network view. Let's take a closer look at just one of these particular nodes. So here's the box. And you'll notice on the left and right-hand side of the node, there are these two little colors. One's green and one's blue. These are called flags in Houdini. And what they control at the object level is selectability and visibility. I'm going to restore the network view back to its little corner here. And we want to be able to see both the network view and the scene view at the same time. So right now, if I click on this little eyeball or this right-hand flag, this blue flag, it just changes the visibility, okay? So the display of that object is either on or off. So you can just turn it off in the viewport. Maybe you're working with some modeling and you need to hide that just temporarily. You can do it that way. Okay, the other option that we have is this flag on the left. Now the flag on the left gives you the ability to choose whether something is selectable in the viewport or not. So if I turn this off and I'm over here working and I want to select all my objects, I can drag my marquee around them, and you'll notice that everything here is highlighted except the box. So the box did not get selected, and no matter what I do, I cannot grab the box in the viewport. And that's because we have this selectability flag turned off. So keep in mind that you can do this with multiple nodes at the same time. If you have particular ones that you want on or off all at once, you can select multiple nodes. You can also do the same with the selectability flag. So I can turn those three off so that they're no longer selectable. You'll see that everything else here is selected, but not these three objects. And turn them back on the same way, just select them all. So I'm going to go ahead and just maximize that network view again, so we can kind of focus in on what we're dealing with here. So Houdini works in what it calls contexts. So right now we are in at the object level, and you can see that because you have this OBJ that's visible here. Now this area here is going to become very important when navigating your scene. This is actually kind of like a web browser, or kind of like Windows Explorer is, in the sense that these are just addresses of different pieces of data in the Houdini network. So, for instance, if we wanted to look at more detail of the box and see a little bit more about how this box is created, we can simply highlight the box and double-click on it. Now, by double-clicking on it, I have entered that container, and I'm now looking at the guts of what's in that little box that was called box. So you can see that here, that we're in OBJ box. Now, it might help a little bit if you think about the network view sort of as a little mini operating system that exists on your computer. So much like in Windows, where you would have your My Computer and you have your C drive, you can double click on C drive and see all of these other folders. Now all of these other folders have information. They all have data inside of them. There's a date that it was modified. You can also see, you know, the date that it was created, all kinds of information about this particular folder. And if you'll notice here across the top, you have this back and forward button, and you have the address. This tells us that we are in My Computer and we are in C. Well, it's very much the same, that this is telling us we are at the object level and we're viewing the box. And just like we have the back and forward buttons, we also have back and forwards buttons right here within Houdini that'll help us to navigate around the objects that are in our scene. So I can jump inside of the sphere, and I can see that there's my original sphere object, and here another node has been added that added color to the object. And if we look at our address bar, it tells us we're at OBJ, the object level, one level in, looking at the sphere object. So I can go back to the object level in a couple of different ways. We already saw that we can use the back and forward buttons just like we do in most browsers or in Windows Explorer. You can also just click on the name of where you want to go. So right now we're in the sphere object. We want to go back to the object level. All we have to do is click on the word OBJ here. That'll automatically take us up one level and put us back at the root of our scene. Another way of jumping around inside of your scene is to use the keyboard shortcuts. Now, the keyboard shortcuts U and I are very handy. For instance, I can click on the torus object, and if I want to go inside of that container, inside of that node, all I have to do is hit I on the keyboard, and it will take me into that node. And if I want to go back up one level to object, I can hit U, and that takes me up one level and puts me back at the object level. In the next lesson, we'll take a little bit deeper look at the contexts in Houdini and talk about what each of them are and what they're used for.